Hi, and welcome to the Sci-Fi and Sunshine podcast. Yeah. Hi, this is Bria from the Sci-Fi and Sunshine podcast here with an author guest. I'm so excited to bring you Kerry Nietz. So I'm a speculative fiction author. I'm a running mom, and I really enjoy talking to other sci-fi, fantasy, speculative authors. And Kerry, can you tell everybody who you are, what you write, a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Kerry Nietz. I've been writing speculative fiction probably 20 years or so now. It's been a while, almost. And best known for Amish Vampires in Space, probably, but I have 14 novels in print and some cyberpunk, some space opera. Um, I don't really enjoy genre. And um, yeah, I guess that's it. But
Yeah, kind of the lowdown, and I have to mention Amish Vampires in Space. That
yeah,
book is so fun, and we actually discussed it. I spoke to
yes,
you on the radio. I don't know if it was last year or the year before,
yeah, last year.
but that was a really fun one to go over with you. And
Yeah.
that was one that made it to the Jimmy Fallon show. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
it is so I don't know. The title immediately catches attention of like
Yeah. Yes.
this very,
Yeah.
dissonance, like cognitive dissonance coming together.
Yeah.
So that is a series. It's not even the only book, and you
Right.
have the werewolves in space, and then what
Yes.
was the last one?
The actually the middle one is zombies. Zombies
Zombies. Okay.
from space, and then werewolves in space. So
Yes.
of
Yeah.
space.
So that whole, yeah,
Yeah.
in space series. A lot of fun. A little bit tongue in cheek, but a lot more like straightforward than I
Yeah.
thought
Kind
it would
of
be. I
hard
remember reading it
sci-fi.
thinking
Yeah. That
thinking
was
this is going to be like a comedy. No, it's actually more of a drama with just there is that little bit of tongue in cheek, but it's
yeah.
got a bit of the horror, obviously, with the vampires. It's got the Amish culture is so well researched. It's like
Yeah.
such a fun book.
Thank you. Yes.
But we're actually here to talk about your latest release.
Sure.
And you sent this book to me. I was going to hold it up on my Kindle, and of course, my Kindle went to sleep. If you have the print, do you have the print one
I
with
do.
you right now?
I do. Just give me a second.
Okay, yeah. So Fractured is the
Yeah.
name of the book, and it's part
Yeah.
of a series that
Let me
you're
see. Yeah.
doing. So there's
There you
the
go.
beautiful cover,
Yeah, it's
heavy
fun.
on the sci-fi, the
Yeah.
robots. I love all that stuff. All the
Yeah.
little, I love the detail. If you hold it up one more time,
Yeah. Sure.
I I love all the detail of the
Yeah.
little
There's
bots that are like
Yes,
spiders
there's
and
tons
crickets
at the
and
bottom. Yes, up in the
yes, that
sky
that
as well.
comes
Yeah,
that comes into play in the book.
yeah. That's
So
Kirk DuPont. He's the cover artist. Does pretty much all my covers for me. So
yeah, he's an incredible cover artist with
yeah,
sci-fi fantasy covers. He does a really good job.
yeah. This
And
one I had probably the most input on. Like he usually reads the books, and he did that, and he he went, but he still wasn't sure which way to go. And I was like, I kind of got this idea of a scene from the book that would work. And so I kind of mocked up something. It was real stupid, but he's like, oh, yeah, I dig that. We can do that. So that's sort of where we ended up with this sort of mini robot rebellion here. So
yeah, it's a great evocative image. I was gonna pull it up on my Kindle when I finally got it to come to life. So
oh, there
that
you go.
oh,
Oh,
let's see if it'll hold. So
yeah.
I've got the whole vanishing background thing, so
Yeah, you
it's
sure
not
do.
holding
Oh,
very
here.
well.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
But
So it just, oh man, it really speaks to, there's even the other language. Is that Arabic?
it is. It
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
Because of
talk
the,
talk a little bit about why is there Arabic on the cover of this
yeah,
book? Give
so,
the readers a little bit of context there.
right. So my original my first novel was called A Star Curiously Singing, and it it was kind of a parallel series to this one, and it takes place in kind of a world under Sharia law. So a world maybe 500-600 years in the future where Sharia law is sort of the law of the land,
Hmm.
but they're robots, and you know, um, lots of folks with lots of money who have sort of techno slaves, and the main character in that book, his name was Sandfly, and he has an implant in his head, and it controls his thoughts to some extent, but also connects him to the future version of the internet and all the robots and stuff that he can work on. So this series is a parallel series, and the main character's name is Threadbare, and he similarly has a implant in his head and kind of dealing with being a techno slave of sorts. So
Right.
right.
Yes. And so the Sharia law is basically the greater world that he lives in.
Yeah.
And so when we jump into Fractured, so this is actually are we kind of in the middle of the series here?
Yeah. So there were two books prior to this. First one was called Frayed, and then Fraught was the second book. And um, there definitely needed to be more in this series, and folks were starting to ask, okay, you're going to write more there, and I was like, yeah, probably better to get back to it while I still remember the characters. So there's this book, and then I hope to have a second part come out later in this year. So it got to be longer than I expected. When you get up to 160,000 words, that's a pretty big paperback. I was like, okay. And one of my writer friends from Realm Makers actually said, hey, maybe it's two books and not one. And it's like, yeah, it's not a bad idea. So I found a good place to split it, and that's what I did. So
Okay, so this is actually Fractured Part One,
right,
and then
right.
the next book will be Fractured Part
Or
Two.
two, yeah. Yeah.
Got
And
it.
it's
Yes.
written. I just have some reader friends kind of going through it and seeing what they find. It's already been edited though. So, I'm still waiting
So
on
that one's
cover art too.
close to coming out. Do you have a launch date for that one?
I hope for November, 1st of November. So this came out like July 4th. So I'm hoping, in November. So
Okay, okay. So for those of us reading Fractured Part One, we only have to wait till November to get Part
right.
Two. And I will say, it does end on a cliffhanger.
It does end on a cliffhanger. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm
So
glad to know the next one's coming
yeah.
soon. Um,
Yes.
and Threadbare. So this I've had this happen before. I interviewed Jeffrey A. Carver. He was one of my first interviews when I first was doing the radio show,
Okay.
and then did a podcast episode with him later. So he has a series of books called The Chaos Chronicles. I think I pulled one off the shelf at the library, not realizing it was book
Mm,
four. I don't know how I
okay.
missed this is book four in the
Yeah.
series. And I just started reading it, got into it, enjoyed it. So when you said, my latest book is actually book three, I was not deterred because I've noticed when you have a good sci-fi writer like yourself, like Jeffrey A. Carver, it's not as much as there might be little detaily things that I go, huh, I wonder if I'm going to be caught up on that specific thing if I go back and read books one
Yeah.
and two, probably. I can still jump into the middle of a series with good sci-fi authors. I've found this.
Right.
I can jump into the middle of a series and really get into the story and not feel too lost.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
good.
something that I appreciated about this book was,
Good.
okay, I'm being introduced to Threadbare. There's some interesting character names that I'm feel like I'm gonna mess them up if I try to say them
Yeah.
because there tend to be a lot
Yeah.
of compound word names.
Yes.
Uh,
That's intentional. Like
yeah, yeah. So and then we've got, is it Domily? Is
yeah,
that how you say
Damali.
her
Yeah.
name?
Yeah.
Domily.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she's a love interest, a little
Interest.
bit of a minor
Right.
romance there. And then there's the students that Threadbare is teaching at the
Yes.
school where they are the implant students and they call them debuggers.
Yeah.
So I started to, figure things out pretty quickly of like, okay, this is the greater world we're in. We're in a future world.
Yeah.
He's on a spaceship at the beginning of this, so you immediately get into we're taking a spaceship somewhere. And so
Yeah.
I thought it's just one of those easy to pick up and get right into it. So that was
Thank
my opinion
thank
coming
you.
at it, not having read the
Yeah.
previous two. and just excellent storytelling, wonderful craft, really heinous villains. Oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
there are some rough villains that I'm like, oh, I'm getting a
Yeah.
little like I don't want to
Yeah.
see this villain show up again because terrible things are happening. But
Yeah.
that's good storytelling. That's good conflict.
Yeah. Yes.
So share a little bit. I of course don't want to share any spoilers that you don't want to share, but share a little bit about what's happening in this story that if a reader is like me and has read it just this one, or if you're coming at it from reading book one or two, how would you address those readers that have read book one and two and are jumping into this one?
Uh, yeah, that's a good question. It's nice to hear that you could jump right into it. And part of that, is intentional. You do end up when you're writing a book, you have to have some flashback to what, in his mind or what people are talking about or the events from earlier. And you try to do that
Right.
as naturally as possible. In this case, especially, it had been, I don't know how, I think the last one came out in 2017 for, so it's been a number of years since I'd written there. So I read that book. I usually don't read my books back again, but that one, it's been so while. I was like, I got to read it so I can get the style in. And so that first scene in Fractured is a scene you didn't get to see on camera in the last book, but it's still a bit of a flashback to
Hmm.
that time
It
when
read it read a
yeah,
little bit like a prologue, and I have to
yeah,
say I appreciated that coming at it as a
yeah,
newer
that
reader. Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, so that was intentional, and it also helped me get in the mode. It's like, okay, this is kind of where he's coming from because yeah, Fraught ended after that scene. So
Okay.
again, it was a little bit of a flashback, but it helped establish relationships in my mind and hopefully for the reader too. Um, so yeah, if you've read the earlier books, at the end of the last book, Threadbare was involved in this sort of competition, robot battle competition, and managed to survive it and save his friend. So this book kind of picks up right after
Hmm.
that. So he's going back to be an instructor for students again, and it's sort of a return to normal as it gets for him for a while, not very long, but for a little
Right.
while. So
Yeah, pretty quickly there's a villain
a
introduced.
new yes, because another
Hmm.
thing that happened in the last book is that the world leader met a sort of untimely end. So
Hmm.
things are powers are shifting again, and every time that happens, it means it's a nightmare for Threadbare and his type of people. So
Yes. And so there's a faith element
yes,
in your
absolutely.
books. And how would you describe and characterize the faith element for how you tell a story?
Yeah. So the the world, religion is definitely more of a sort of a works based, rule based religion. Obviously based on current events, but it also fits with the um, kind of being threadbare is because coding is very rule based as well. So that's sort of the world
Mhm.
he's from. Things have to follow the rules, and so of course the world doesn't really work like that. And so a lot of this is him sort of breaking free of the slavery he's used to and also sort of the commands he's used to and the command structure. So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
definitely a theme, and freedom is a theme in the whole, both series. So, and I think they're kind of a unique because like the first series with Sandfly, there's a lot of the first book is on Earth, but then it kind of goes into space, and
Hmm.
he kind of returns in the last book, but readers wanted to know what was happening on Earth while he was gone. So this series sort of fills that in, and the two series actually start at the very same event, and then they diverge. In fact, in the old series, Threadbare makes a short appearance, but yeah, I think it's kind of a unique, and fills
Fair,
readers'
yeah.
expectations. So
Yes. I agree. I agree with that sentiment. Yes, very much. And it's very like fast pace. There's kind of constantly conflict is coming up and it moves along quickly. It's a page turner, so highly recommended for me
Yeah,
to
thank you.
get this series. And going back to the faith element, so you and I met at Realm Makers in
Yes.
person
Yeah.
probably years ago now. I think the first time
Yeah.
I met you was my first Realm Makers in, I want to say 2021.
Okay.
And so each year that I've gone, I've seen you there. And the thing I always think about
Kind of
is
a
the
fixture.
costume.
Yes. Yeah.
The costume. So we have
Yeah.
dress up night, and I love talking about cosplay with other sci-fi fantasy fans. So the first year, I want to say you were in a Superman costume that said like
Will
looking for
fly for
work.
food.
We'll
Yes.
fly for food. That's what it
Yes.
was. That was great.
Yes. Yeah.
What have been your most recent? What was your costume this year? We
Uh,
off camera discussed. I wasn't able to go to Realm Makers this year, but you
right.
were. So who was your costume this year?
Okay. So this year I so I've kind of picked up this nickname as Founding Father there,
Uh-huh.
even though I'm
Uh-huh.
not really like I missed the first year at Realm Makers, but I've been there
Okay.
ever
Every year
since.
since.
Yeah. And so I dress as George Washington again, but I which I've done I did
I love that.
yeah I dressed like that the year Frayed came out, which would have been 2015 or something I think.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
but I mixed it up. I actually made myself a cyborg arm for this time, so I was
That's
sort of
cool.
like
That's
Founding Father second revision,
that's
so
good.
so
That's the
yeah.
kind of creativity I love with the
Yeah,
costumes.
actually, give me a second. I'll get the arm so you can see it. Oh,
Oh, yeah. And just to fill in anybody
so
who's
this
watching,
is
Realm
my
Makers is a sci-fi fantasy conference
so this
for
is
Christian writers. Oh,
my
and here's the
arm
arm.
here. So I all 3D printed, and portions of it will glow in the dark. White portions will glow in the dark, but then this hand actually will constrict, so that you can
That
pick
is
up
awesome.
things with it. So thought
Very
it fits.
cool. Yeah, yeah. So I was sharing with you before we got started that I hope next year to make it. And I am I don't know if boring is the right word, but I'm consistent. I am Princess
Yes.
Leia every year.
Oh,
I
really?
just
I was going to say because I think the last time we talked, you dressed in that costume as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's who I've been every year. I dress up as Princess Leia for Halloween. I just make the most of my $6 Target costume that I got on
yes,
sale after Halloween one year, and
yes.
it's just gonna keep me going.
Well,
I
yeah,
have
you can't. I know. At some point, you do have to recycle a little bit because it does.
Right, right. Well, I just love that character so much that I just stick with it.
Yeah, it's
So tell people where can they find you? Where can they
sure,
find your books? Are you on social media where people can follow you, blogs, that kind of thing?
sure. Yeah, my website is www.neats.com or kerryneets.com will work too. Or search for Amish vampires, you'll find me.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'm on Facebook as well, and I'm on Instagram and Twitter X as well. So search for my name, KerryNietz. So
Right. Yes. And you have currently how many books out? You might have
so
said already.
14 novels.
14. That's right.
Yeah, some short stories, or a couple novellas, and a few nonfiction books as well. So
Yeah, yeah. So a nice catalog for readers. And
yeah,
then the next Fractured Part 2 comes out November. Are you going to have
yeah.
a launch party? Is there somewhere
I
people
don't
can
know.
kind of like,
Maybe we'll see. Hopefully, I got time to plan something like that. So
hmm
we'll
hmm.
try.
So
I'm not
yeah,
real
so
good
if
at launch
people,
parties and you know teams. I should be, but
I gotcha.
how
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
like you're
Well, with
doing the writing,
yes,
and
it
then
is that different putting on different hats, going from writer
right,
to marketer to yeah, it's
yeah,
such a broad
them all.
scope of things to
Yeah,
do.
you can't be good at everything. So
Right, right. Okay, so with the little time we have left, what would you say, as a writer, you're more of an outliner, I think I recall from our
actually,
previous.
no, I see the
No,
pants
oh,
editing. Yeah.
Okay,
So
talk a little bit about your craft and how you go. How do you
yeah,
come at your craft?
I don't outline anything really. I
Okay.
usually start with maybe a couple ideas for things that need to happen and sort of a theme, and who the main characters are. But I pretty much just follow them. I start writing and let them take me where they take me, and without a lot of
Yeah.
restraint. And you just do the work. It's the habit. You get in the habit of writing at the same time every day, and your brain just gets used to that. And one of the things, one of my tricks, I guess, to keep from getting stuck is that I'll usually, like if I'm in the middle of a scene, that's where I'll stop. I won't finish a scene on purpose, so that the next day I can just read what I wrote the day before and edit it a little bit, and then start writing again. It really kind of
That's a
keeps the
great trick. Yeah, I
yeah,
like
kind of
that.
keeps the
Yeah.
juices going, and then you'll do the same thing that day. You'll stop in the next scene in the middle somewhere, and it keeps going. So
That's wonderful. Yeah, I
yeah,
good advice for any writers out there who are fine. If you're like, so I'm also a fly by the seat of your pants type
yeah,
of writer.
intuitive.
And
Yes.
we call I have a writing critique partner. We call it the gardener. I think George R. R. Martin coined
Okay.
that term possibly, that we're gardening. We're like digging in the dirt to see what's going to grow, and
Right.
that's kind of like sifting and watering what may work and not work. But writing yourself into a corner can happen. Like that's
Sure.
something that's tricky. So the fact that you have this wonderful method to say, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to stop here so that when I come back tomorrow, same time, same place, my brain's going to be that's a really clever
Yeah.
way to like keep track of where you are and keep track of
Yeah.
what's
Yeah. It
happening in the
definitely
story.
helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Any other advice for writers who are wanting to write sci-fi
Uh,
fantasy
another
from
thing I've
someone
been
who's been mentioned by
sure.
Jimmy Fallon on The Late Show?
I guess don't be afraid to trust your instincts, and really let the writer, let the characters tell the story. And another thing I've been experimenting with lately, which is going to sound weird, is I've experimented with dictating a little bit
Mm.
and found that I can get a lot more words out that way. You really, in 15 minutes time, you can dictate 1,500 words easy, and
What
typically for me,
what
writing,
software do you use for that?
I've just been using Audacity,
Hmm.
and then there's a site online. I can't remember the name of it because it's new to me, but where I can just upload the MP3 and it will translate it for me. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, and I'll share that with you when I can. Like I said,
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
I can
but it's
add
great.
that to the show notes.
Yeah, it's great. So I've been experimenting with that. It does take a little bit for your mind to get used to that idea, but yeah, getting more words out there is a good thing. Get done a little quicker. So we'll
Mhm.
we'll see we'll see how that goes.
Okay, yeah, that's a great tool too. And since I think we just have a couple more minutes, AI is something I often like to talk to authors about. I personally am more of the, okay, AI as a tool, for
Yeah,
example, a robot vacuum is very useful and I appreciate it, but I don't want AI writing my books for me. They're, two kind of
yeah,
extremes. What are your thoughts? I know this is a big topic to cover in a
yeah.
brief time, but
And I
any
would agree
thoughts
with
on
yeah, I would agree with that. Coming from the software industry, it's like uh, they don't AI doesn't really create anything. It just has to kind of mimic things and borrow from things, and it has that limitation. They don't they don't know if they're lying or not. They're just going on what they find on the internet, which sometimes can be lies.
Mhm.
And so you have to be really careful. I mean, there definitely is a role for it. I know one thing I found useful is when I was trying to write the blurb for Fractured. I had to try to ingest what the whole story was,
Mhm.
and I from Word, I could use their Copilot and just say summarize the book for me, and it did a fairly good job, even
Ah,
summarizing themes.
interesting.
Which I wasn't expecting it to do themes. Action, that seems easy, but it actually, was like, yeah, this is about freedom and
Mhm.
breaking free of bondage and those things. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. And so it didn't give me the blurb, but it got it down into a page that I made
Something
it easier.
you could
And
play
I was like,
with.
okay, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's definitely a place for it. Yeah, I like writing stories, or I like telling stories, and I think that's where you know creativity comes from humans. So
That's right. Well, the phone call is a good
yes,
stopping point. I'll let you
I'll
grab
just
that.
I'll get
Thank
to
you.
that later. I forgot to
Thank you.
unplug my phone. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So,
That's okay. Thank you so much, Carrie, for coming on the podcast. It's been wonderful to chat with you again. And
yeah,
tell
you
everybody
too.
one more time, website and your next book coming out in November, the title.
Sure. Nietz.com, Nietz.com. And Fractured Fragment 2 should come out in November. So that's the plan.
All
So,
right. Well, thank you. Have a great rest of your day. And
all right.
thank you, listeners, for watching. We'll put all these fun things in the show notes about things and tools Carrie has used so that you can use them too. Bye,
Awesome.
everybody.
All right.
That's all for now. As you venture through this sci-fi world we all find ourselves living in, may you be the sunshine to the people around you today. Adios.